to the news category. First off, I'm going to judge the news category on if it's news. So I don't consider yearly exercises news, um, or welcome homes, those type of things. I'm looking for one-time events, real news, which we document, right? So we'll see first what you capture there, and then we'll look at the content and the message delivered. Right. So as with the others, we're first going to scroll through and check out the images. Give yourselves a first impression. For this category as well, the captions are probably going to be very important. So if there is no caption, tell me why this picture is important. I'm not considering it. All right. So here's one of the Finney flights. Now, I would consider this a solid news photo if this is somebody of prominence, of importance. So let's check it out. A pilot has water dumped, and so yeah, super important. You're talking about a news category, and so if it's important, if it's a piece of news, then we should probably know who it is. So apparently this is not somebody that carries a lot of prominence, and so I wouldn't consider it news. Yes. And so return home of the 55 remains recently from North Korea. I do remember that. This is not a very strong photo of it. Is it news? Yes, it is very much so news. We'll see if there are other images that might depict it a little bit better. Right. So the soldier was injured in a vehicle-borne improvised explosive device when one detonated. So, I mean, I consider it news. It's unplanned, right? Um, let's see. Be considered news. Not very strong photo here. In return home, but who is it? So, hmm, airman. All right, we're just gonna go on to the next one there. President's arrival, but I mean, we see a lot of these. So what's important about it, right? There's not even a caption. So for me, it's automatically out. Cool photo, but it's another flight demonstration. Group photo, no thank you. Let's see, is this a, it's another exercise. Typically group photos and shake and takes and things of that nature, they're not very strong news photographs. Change of commands happen all the time, so what makes it significant? So this recruiter is talking to somebody who is going to be joining. I can see the potential in this for an overall photo story. You've seen some really good images out there in photo stories that kind of show the life of a recruit. Not very newsworthy, but there's potential. No caption. So a you know, senior leader visiting by itself is not, all that important, but maybe they're talking about a new change, that an important change. It didn't seem like any of that was happening, so I don't consider that news either. It's kind of cool watching the meteor shower. Not news, but awesome moment. Not news, I don't believe. Yep. It's a flight home. However, this is another good moment. Here you go. Here's some news. I'm pretty sure U.S. service members with Joint Forces Honor Guard carry the casket of former U.S. President George H.W. Bush. Yeah, that was big news. It's decently composed. I think this is also former President Bush. Yes, however, without the casket, it's not very uh, strong of an image on its own. It's very well done, very well composed. No caption again, but I mean, I do like the image. No caption again. Who is this guy? Why should I care? Good image, good moment. Uh, Not a ton of news value, but there's some. Another exercise, cool image. That's about it. Leave for deployment. Eh, it's not very well composed, and it's a little bit of a hard read, but news. 9/11 Memorial stair climb. I think it's shot well. That's, and it's a kind of a pictorial-esque feel. General Marianne Miller. So let's see what the caption says. Hit on her 4th star during a promotion ceremony. Miller assumed command. Right. So your news peg is all the way towards the end. What makes this moment news? Well, she's the first reserve airman to command Air Force Major Command, and then first reserve airman to become a 4-star general. So that's your news peg. So if you want this to really thrive when you're talking about news, then that better be up towards the front, right? Because this is actually a historical moment. However, when you have that news peg buried at the bottom of your caption, that can have an effect on your image. It's more of a feature, decent little moment and interaction. This is also very feature. I do like the image. Another Finney flight. I think this is the same person. This is a U.S. pilot, or a pilot, right? So same thing, a pilot. Like if it's going to be news, then you need to at least know who you're talking about. Okay, so this looks like some disaster relief after a flood. So this is technically news. Compositionally, graphically, maybe not so strong, but it's at least news. That's a cool image, certainly, but it's another air show photo. Bilateral training, more training. So it's a decent image. Let's see what it says. All right, so here you have, quote, a new capability for the QEAF, and this is the first C-17 airdrop capability in the Gulf Cooperation Council. So that's your news peg there, and again, it's buried way at the bottom of the caption. And so also, not really sure how it can be tied to this image itself, since you're talking about airdrop capabilities. But if you want to make this newsworthy, then you got to have a caption that represents its newsworthiness. Ship formation. I mean, cool image. That's portrait. Really both of these are portrait. These last couple, they're more features, not really news. So here's real news, right? So you've got this flood situation in Florence County, South Carolina, and you got a little bit of interaction, some people carrying all their belongings, trying to find a place. Apparently, it looks like an evacuation. And so this is news. It's it's nice to see the overall surroundings, what the situation looks like. I feel this could be composed perhaps a little bit better and a little tighter so I can get that good moment between these two individuals. But other than that, I think this is the strongest news photo I've seen yet. All right, so that's the news category. Now let's look at which images I thought rose to the top. All right, so these are the finals as far as the news category. I've got to just mention, for this one, it's a good moment and all of that. A little bit confused by the caption of Airman Dustin Thornton. Doesn't quite look like an airman to me. So just be aware of what you're typing up and make sure that the caption matches, because that can really have an effect too on not just competitions. It's not about competitions, about what you're putting out there in a professional forum. And we're photojournalists for that supposed to carry accuracy, right? Um, so with that though, I mean, good photo, just food for thought for the future. Here's the top images. We're going to start with the honorable mention. So not composed the best, or not the best scenario to even shoot in. However, the image for what it is, and the historical nature of it, this being the first reserve airman to ever receive a four-star, her fourth star, that's pretty significant. And so that carries news values, especially for the Air Force. Good job on the honorable mention. Now, third place, it goes back to the former President Bush funeral. So this is just composed pretty well, and then because of that, because of the composition, because of the context, I think it represents a pretty decent news photo. I only wish that it could be more clear where the casket is. Here is my number two. So it's a real world scenario. You got a pretty decent moment. I mean, I would still crop in a bit, but I still like seeing the overall environment. I mean, there's a flood. You've got, a trail of people doing the same thing as this guy is, right? You got water all the way up to his, stomach. So I think it's a very good storytelling image overall when it comes to the news category. So second place for you. And the most newsworthy of the images, I believe, is this one. I mean, you've got former president being carried there. You've got pretty good balance. Everything, for the most part, works well with this image. There's a little bit of wasted space, down here, but it's an effective piece for this category. So first place to you. Congratulations to all of the top images within the news category.